Here we have, in the top left side, a blue Zerg player representing Alpha X. It is RAGNAROK. His opponent in the bottom right side, it's a red Terran player fighting for the Shopify Rebellion. He is BYUN. So yeah, BYUN, probably the player you would expect a little bit more so to win this entire thing. Right, the player you expect to get a couple of more games over his opponents. That being said, I mean, we know RAGNAROK is a cheeky little bugger, can try some stuff now and again. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Will BYUN be ready for the aggression right here? That's already starting to mount up. We got a quick extractor as well as a quick spawning pool. Now, RAGNAROK, he might just be playing extremely safe, trying to make sure he doesn't die to like a proxy multiple Rex. But I mean, that's all. That would be a lot of investing just for that, in my opinion. And BYUN, of course, not doing any of that sorts. He's kind of chilling in his own base, doing his thing. Let's see how much commitment we're going to get out of RAGNAROK here with these Zerglings. So far, only 4 have been made. Queen as well. There's the metabolic boost. Did take off most of the drones with the gas. Should indicate we're not going to see something extremely crazy with banelings involved as well off of the one base. He's just casually going to keep on mining here. Get a couple of links out. Try to get a cancel on that natural base on the low ground, which has been put on the low ground, so that is a boon for RAGNAROK here, but I mean, it's going to be a while before the metabolic boost, of course, finishes up, and those links really have a shot at taking out a Reaper. So yeah, I mean, to be fair, he only made 4 links, right? So in a sense, he kind of diminishes the extreme necessity of getting the cancellation on that command center. Still would be preferable, right? Still would always be preferable, but ultimately, it's probably not something that's gonna happen, and not getting that to happen and losing 4 links trying to make something happen usually is just gonna be worse than just not letting it happen. So, especially if you know, try to commit even further onto the links, but yeah. Well, anyway. Banshees, perhaps. There's a tech lab very close to that starport. Let's see what he goes for after the Cyclone. The Cyclone, not the most common unit you see in the TVZ as an opener. Still going for it here. Why is he going for the Cyclone? Is it for like queen pushes with roaches and stuff? Is that what he's expecting is going to be coming in? Or is he going to try, to medevac drop Cyclones? And take out queens? What is going on here? Alright, well, I'm willing to figure it out, of course. Is it just Overlord hunting? That could be the case, right? It's a couple of uses you can think of with this Cyclone. Guess you already have Marines to shoot down Overlords, though, so... Maybe I missed something. Alright, well, anyway. There we go. We are going to get Banshees eventually. Took him a little bit, but we'll start that as well. An entire array of different harassment tools going to be accessible here for Mr. BYUN RAGNAROK. Starting up those spore crawlers. And, wow, BYUN, he's even adding in an armory right now. So it's going to be Banshees with a Cyclone there as well. And then a Hellbat attack. Very interesting. So yeah, the Cyclone, I mean, in an attack against Zerg, with some Hellbat support as well as Banshee support. I've not seen it myself with the Cyclone mixed in, but I mean, it sounds like something that could work. To me, it sounds like it could work. I don't know if it will though. That's the real question. A couple of Banelings are already in production. Normally, I'd say, all right, that's good, as they should do well against those Hellbats. But now there's of course also a Banshee and a Cyclone involved. Cyclone going after the Spore Crawler here. There's Banshee almost already down. That Spore Crawler very important here, and it's still locked onto, but the Transfuse just keeps it alive. That's a very solid defense there for RAGNAROK, realizing how important that Spore Crawler is, and not just letting it go down, right? Trying to save up that Transfuse energy on rescuing Queens. Realizing, alright, if that Banshee goes cloaked, this could be a lot of trouble here. And he's putting in a lot of effort into killing this Spore Crawler, so may as well try to keep it alive. Solid stuff. And yeah, that attack for BYUN just fell absolutely flat. Nothing at all so far. We'll see if he still manages to get something done, right? I mean, he has a third base back at home. He had a pretty reasonable start with the economy. A bit better, even, in fact, I would say, over RAGNAROK's. Seeing how RAGNAROK went for the spawning pool first. Banshee's finding some little creep tumors. Gotta be careful, one of them only a slither of HP remaining. Little push from BYUN trying to find a fourth base cancel. It may happen. There were a lot of units here for RAGNAROK already, but yeah, it looks like you just couldn't get those banelings without speed. And I mean, Queens aren't that quick either. I didn't want to engage with just the Lynx, of course, so there is that cancellation performed. That's a lot of creep. Oh my, that's a lot of creep tumors you're planting down there. I don't know why I turned into a creep farmer. A creepy farmer. Alright. In the game, we're seeing the next development take place. 9 Mutalisk on that production tab, but perhaps at the wrong time for RAGNAROK though. Baneling speed coming in at a crucial time. 2 seconds remaining. Again, the fourth base for RAGNAROK does get cancelled though, and that's putting BYUN in a very good position since he's been on 3 base versus 3 base for quite a while now. RAGNAROK decides to just bite the bullet, take the base on the other side. To be fair, he may as well start taking his 5th base at this moment also. Mutalisk tried to find some damage, but missile turrets and Widow Mines in these bases make it very difficult for them to get any damage dealt. Trying to get the reactor on the starport right now. Just almost getting it, but remains again with that slither of HP that BYUN is ever so well known for. Very good engagement here for those Marines. Do trade quite well against those Zerglings. Still managed to stick around as well. I'd like to see those Mutalisks try to take care of that medevac right there, of course. A small cluster of units here for BYUN. I'm not sure why it's still out on the map. It's basically still the exact same force he walked out with the first initial time he was going on the offensive, and he's still getting another cancel on this base. That is ridiculous. That is just getting out of hand right now. That base has been cancelled how many times? 4 times? 4? I think it's 4. And by such a small group of units as well. Over and over again. Very rough to see. 4th base for BYUN. Going to be further ahead over that of the Zergs, and that's never a good sign. He's ahead in the supply overall as well. And, well, guess you can see that that is not a great thing either. Oh, good catch on that Widow Mine though. That's always nice. Probably would like to get an Overseer here with these Mutalisk in order to you know, make it less likely to fly into Widow Mines that are already burrowed, instead of just luckily walking around just as you fly over them. Which happened twice now for RAGNAROK, so that's gotta feel pretty nice. Oh, probably not a fight you want to take there. Immediately heads backwards, a lot of Marines just ready to stim up. Somewhere in the middle of the map where the Mutalisk were flying across. Drilling class has finished up as well, and oh no, okay, please set off on the Zergling. I don't know if he did that on purpose, but if he did, that is brilliant. It's hard to explain fully. I'm pretty much sure you saw what happened there, right? If that one Zergling wasn't in front of all of those banelings, that would have been a nasty Widowmine shot right there. But it looked like he was aware of it overall. Clearing out the rogues. I mean, Ragnarok, he still has an alright amount of supply, right? It's a bit of a shame that he's on like 90 army supply versus 120 of BYUN. BYUN, always a Terran that likes to be very low on the work accounts and just try to have such a big army that he can trade even more efficient than he usually already does. And there have been some slight SCV killings right now as well, putting him back again. Below the 70 mark. And Ragnarok on the other side, he's going the different route. Instead of just having a very big army, he's going to go up to 91 workers here. Let that economy rebuild his forces as quickly as it can. So he can take multiple fights in repetition. Still keeping the Mutalisk alive as he is going towards the Hive Tech. +3/+3 halfway done as the +2/+2 for Ragnarok is getting close to completion. There might be a moment here still where BYUN has the upgrade advantage, of course, and then afterwards it's going to reclaim it in not too far distant future. Hive Tech is going to finish up, so the +3/+3 for Ragnarok here should be constructed right at that moment as well. Nice magic box, not letting the banelings connect onto the Thors, but man, those splits are so efficient. Still making a lot of work happen. Alright, BYUN kinda has to back up a little bit, but won't be long before he's back up to max supply. Has already, of course, the 118 army supply. Anyway, he has missile turrets, planetary fortresses. Should be absolutely fine. I don't think Ragnarok could try to take a big fight here, but that's exactly what he does. I suppose he is at max supply himself, and he would like to have this supply put into use so he can remax instantly. This is doing a lot better than I thought it would, actually. I'm not sure where the near 80 supply of BYUN is, but it doesn't seem like it's here. Where? Oh, where? He does have more stuff, right? Am I going crazy? No, this is actually it. Alright. Well, trying his best, microing his heart out. Those Thors just barely staying up alive with the Medivacs helping him out a ton. SCV repairs also coming into great use, and there you have it. BYUN does manage to somewhat push this off again, pull it back. Still in a pretty shoddy position though, where it's probably not feeling all that safe. Ragnarok now on two angles with the Zerglings and the Mutalisk. Double-pronged attack finds a exposed mineral line here on the third base of BYUN. You're never gonna get that, right? Doesn't even have adrenal glands, but he was making some work happen right there. Do you have burrow? No, he doesn't have burrow. I thought maybe that's why he's trying so adamant about getting it to lift up, so he could burrow underneath, but not the case. Not the case. Well, let's see. BYUN here had the three upgrades, so that's pretty good. Is this AI competition? No, this is actually Ragnarok and BYUN fighting one another. They're two pro players. A couple of Widowmines. They are, in fact, people. Other engagements over here. It does look like it's going to turn out into the favor for Ragnarok. Ragnarok has been gaining a lot of ground here, actually. With his, regained superior economy. Took him a while to get there as the Zerg player, but he did manage to get there. He's not trading as efficiently, but that is okay as long as he can keep BYUN from mining off of the 5+ bases. Or at least as long as he has a couple of extra bases over BYUN. Running a lot of SCV damage right there now onto the natural and that third base. BYUN seems to just kind of try to bite the bullet. Just run across the map here. Does not want to be running around in his own base trying to stop the bleeding. He wants to just go across right now and cause some damage of his own, because otherwise this is not going to go his favor in any way, shape or form. Needs to find some crucial damage here. Walks into a bunch of Ultralisks that suddenly pop off the production chain. Is this still going to be enough for BYUN to actually get himself some base kills? Because it does start to feel like he has to. He has to do some damage onto Ragnarok. Maybe the full frontal attack maybe wasn't the right idea. But then again, even a small portion of units sent off. It looks like that has been taken into consideration here by Ragnarok. He's got a lot of queens and he's got a lot of spine crawlers set up on these outskirt bases, trying to ensure that won't be an easy target for BYUN. Ragnarok has been playing this very well, in fact, and he, with the continuous Mutalisk harassment, sticking clear of the Marines, right, not losing them. How many Mutalisks did we lose overall? Okay, we did lose 30 Mutalisks, but we still have 12, so we still have 12. I thought he lost less of them since there's still so many around, but I guess he has just adamantly replenish them continuously and consistently. To be fair, they are denying a real possibility for BYUN to get very aggressive with medevac spread out all over the map. Talking about aggressiveness, we have Ragnarok coming in once again. These Ultralisks really doing a number on the poor Marines. The Marauders trying their best to hold off, but this is looking like another base that is going to take massive casualties as Ragnarok just pillages everything. 13 SCVs go down. Brave Micro from the Micro King is being performed, but it does not seem like it will be enough. As BYUN on his last legs right now, trying to find the best opportunity here in between the buildings, making something happen, but the dream seems to be dead here for BYUN, unfortunately, as Ragnarok is just spilling in units one by one. 60 armies, well, just 60 supply versus 180 right now. That is 3 times the amount. Well played by Ragnarok. That is very well done. Alright. This is the moment where I kind of stay quiet for a little while until stuff... Oh my. I guess there's no staying quiet with this, is there? Two of these, 2 of those, versus 1 of these with 1 of these. I mean, we all know what's gonna happen here, huh? I mean, that is asking for trouble. That is just asking for trouble. When you see these 2, and then you realize on the other side there's 1 of these and 1 of these, that is that's the epitome, isn't it? Truly, truly so. It's no way around it. No way around it. It's just what it is, right? You want to push forwards, you want to keep going with it, but it's going to be a problem. You think you're going to be fine? Well, it's rough. Alright, well, anyway, yeah, the Proxy 2 Rex. The Proxy 2 Rex, this is the spotting pool opening here. There's the bunker going down. It's got to feel bad for BYUN here right now. It's not an entire just GG moment right now, but it's pretty close. It's bad. It's bad. It's real bad. Alright, especially if he does manage to get a couple of these Marines here. There is 3 of them now, so he has to still be a little bit wary. He's making more links, does need them now to get a full surround going. Cannot afford to lose links during the waiting period, though. He's just trying to delay them getting this queen out now as well. Alright, BYUN, if you manage to get a bunker up here, I would be very impressed, but... Yeah, there we go, there's the cancellation. Still producing the Marines. He's still going for it. Ragnarok went with the Roach response, which I think you want to do against the 3 racks, not necessarily the 2 racks. The 2 racks is going to have a little bit defense at home as well in the shape of that siege tank, which makes it difficult for the Roaches to push in. With the 3 racks, you just roll in and across the town, and you just ruin the Terran's day, I believe. But here things still can get a little bit tricky. Circling with speed. This could be big, actually, if he does manage to surround those Marines before they get home, which is looking very likely. Is he going to set up the ambush? Yes, he is. Alright, needs to get those Roaches in a good position. The Zergling's not doing the best job of stopping the movement. But they still managed to get a lot of these Marines killed. All 3 of them remain trying to make their way towards that bunker. As we see BYUN once again opting to go for the Cyclone. I'm hoping that Ragnarok knows what he's doing here. Going for the extreme aggression. Just making more Roaches and more Lings. The Overlord that he had available for vision scouting is being pushed away, but it doesn't matter. The supply depot already fallen. Everything up on the high ground right now. Ragnarok wants to target down those SCVs. Don't let them do the repairing. I'm not even sure exactly why he is fighting near this bunker area. Oh, is that gonna result in regret? I don't think it is. It's looking pretty good. The bunker goes down. The Marines will fall as well. There it is. A second GG. Are you kidding me? Ragnarok takes 2 points in a row. Right, 2 command centers here coming in for BYUN. As Ragnarok still chilling on the 2 bases for the time being. It's droning up rather heavily, so I would assume we're going to get a 3rd base here, right? He's not sending a drone now, and he's having a little bit of trouble with the Reaper as well, patrolling the area now. But he should make this work. Yeah, this should work. Splooch. Densator asking what's going on. We're watching some pretty darn good StarCraft 2. That's what's going on. Somehow, some way, Ragnarok getting this series up to 2-0 right off the bat. Maybe with a bit of my help, giving him the light shade to start things off on. The thing is, right, we're gonna play all 7 maps regardless, so it doesn't really matter what map you start on theoretically, right? Maybe just mentally and, as I mentioned, right, a way to build up momentum. Make your opponents already feel a little bit desperate. I don't think BYUN is a person that would struggle too much with that type of thing. Though he can be a little bit emotional, to be fair, sometimes. Well, we'll see. Baneling Nest as well as the lair coming up for Mr. RAGNAROK. RAGNAROK. It's his nickname. It's a little... It's what we call him inside of the Alpha X community. RAGNAROK. Excuse me. Alright, couple of Hellions here. No armory this time around, if I'm not mistaken. That's right, no armory, no Hellbats. So, it's nice. There will be the Banshees, though, once again. Did he get a Cyclone also? He didn't. Alright. Things are getting back to a little bit more of a sense of normalcy for me here. I'm still very surprised with the consistent spawning pool opening here from Ragnarok. Although, on the grand scheme of things, it doesn't... Well, actually, he's only 1 worker ahead, isn't he? Okay, well, now it's 3. Okay, now it's 5, but you know what I mean. Alright, now it's 10, but, you know... It's actually going to be 10. It's crazy. To be fair, like, BYUN is going to be able to keep up with this relatively well, right? He has that 3rd command center already on the ground. It's starting to mine there. Like, he is not going to fall behind on economy at all whatsoever. Another expansion coming down for Ragnarok as the Banshees do try to permit themselves access to the main base. Do not have an Overseer just quite yet anywhere nearby. Oh, there he is. Oh, yes. Darn slow man. You old, creepy man that just, well, leering at everyone and anyone around. Doesn't quite get there. 6 workers do go down because of all of this. Would not be surprised if the Hellions came in on this other side as well for a couple of kills. There are the Mutalisk once again coming into play as the armory starts to finish up. We'll most likely see the I would like to see the drilling class upgrade. Maybe start building some Thors as well, seeing now that there are the Mutalisk once again. We'll stick to the tanks. Okay. And goes for missile turret defense. Alright. I mean, 1 missile turret here, I think it should be enough. Especially if he hits his repairs. Banshees once again will try to commit as well, but do fall apart rather quickly. Good reaction there from Ragnarok. Stops that dead in its tracks. BYUN a bit preoccupied with his overall awareness, trying to get his main force, his main army across the map here into a solid line. And this is a pretty good one, honestly. He does find himself in a nice position to start pushing forwards here. Really get those siege tanks up in that tight squeezed corner right there. Making it very, very difficult for the Zerg to engage. And here we go. Siege tanks almost fighting already. Oh, boy, that's a lot of banelings just rolling through. Absolutely everything. Reinforcements for BYUN do come in, but I'm not sure if that is going to be enough to keep this push going. I think BYUN realizes this as well. Right, +2/+2 for BYUN comes up as he decides, you know what, I can't finish this game off. Let's grab another base. Meaning that is the moment right now that he's gonna have to try and really have to deal with those Mutalisk, right? If he is going to stick more on his own side of the map, those Mutalisk will have free reign. Potentially gonna find some exposed areas here now that their numbers have grown up to 14 instead of 12. Thought he got a bit more, but you know what, he's getting the upgrades as well. They will become a force to be reckoned with here. As we can already see, being a bit of a nuisance. Getting 2 of those add-ons from the barracks and the starport. Another push from BYUN. Looks like he was ready to go out again. Another push here on the top side. It's just a couple of Marines. They do get cleaned up. Only 2 drones so far have been slain by the offensive here of BYUN. Now we are seeing some of those numbers go up rather quickly, with the Marines pushing into the drone line, but here we go. Is this actually going to be enough? The Zerglings entirely just ignoring the siege tanks. That was a very, very smart way to engage that, actually. Very often you'll see Zergs go with the Zerglings on top of the siege tanks, but Ragnarok prioritizing getting a good surround on the Marines in order to connect with those banelings properly. And then just letting the Mutalisk deal with the siege tank. Very, very cool stuff. Okay. Excuse me. The throat. The throat is rebelling today. It's part of Shopify, apparently. Alright. BYUN, he... very similar supply here overall. is going to start pushing out again. Let me take a quick gander. I mean, this is not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I thought BYUN was going to be a little bit further ahead. But just looking at this force, once again, being able to claim that exact same place seems rather troublesome here for RAGNAROK. RAGNAROK decides that it's going to be enough on that side of the field. Wants to force the fight on the other side. Comes in with a big base trade. Zerglings and Mutalisks absolutely everywhere. Now trying to get themselves on top of the production facilities. Okay, Zerglings have to move backwards, trying to hold back the Marines as the Mutalisks try to find whatever important damage that they can. Attack lab that was creating the concussive shell still not completed. Oh no! RAGNAROK, no! Oh, he knew! He knew! He knew it was there and he just moved them in there anyway. That is heartbreaking right there. Gut-wrenching damage being dealt by BYUN's Widowmine. Let's take another look at this units lost tab. Definitely further into the favor of BYUN right now. As opposed to the previous game here, we have RAGNAROK not really getting himself ahead. Oh, that is the final bit of damage required. GG is called. BYUN. I wonder if it is just for the 2 Rex, or if it is for another purpose as well, right? Normally you want to... Well, I guess this is the purpose you normally want to achieve with it, but yeah, wasn't really going for it. To be fair, he's making a lot of Zerglings here. He's making a lot of Zerglings, everybody. I think he's going to go for it. He wants his command center to go down. A lot of SCVs being pulled here. Where is that Reaper? He needs to come back from his holiday across. There he is, coming back from abroad. Zerg country, not the best country for him. And now needs to start cleaning up these Zerglings before the metabolic boost kicks in. There's 10 seconds remaining. The Zerglings, no, they gave up on life. Maybe he thought the metabolic boost would kick in before the fight actually gonna take place. It was very close after all. That's the rest of the Zerglings now. Will start to cause some panic. And, well, body parts of SCVs to fly around. Speedlings in speed zones. It's absolutely crackalicious. That's, is that a word? It just means that it looks like they have used some stim packs, basically, right? Real life stim packs. That is... Let's call it that, shall we? Alright, yeah, I mean, BYUN seemingly pretty fine here. Natural base is being denied mining from, but you're gonna be okay with that, right? I don't mind if I was BYUN. Be like, alright, yeah, it's a little bit frustrating. You don't like it to happen, but, I mean, it's not the worst. You know how many Zerglings he made to make that happen? It's like 14 plus 6. He made 20 lings. That's a lot of lings. Been leaning up 2 SCVs, a Reaper and 2 Marines. So I suppose he does get the better end of the trading here. Oh. Yeah, that's not gonna live. Did you see the starports with the tech lab? I don't... Oh, he did. Ooh, that is rough. Right. So yeah, that's why we're seeing spore crawlers right now coming up. Let's wait and see the Overlord explode. All part of the show. There you go, some fireworks. And yeah, Baneling Nest coming up. Stimpack coming in. Lair will be produced as well. Oh. Little drop here. Looks like that should be defended rather easily. Already has Zerglings in place. Queens on the natural. Let's take a look at the third base. That's the base that's a bit exposed. But seeing how there's 0 drones there, right? You don't really mind if one medevac of Marines drop there. You'll be able to send stuff across before the hatchery is in any real danger. What's up, O Pro? Alright. Looks like Captain Creep and the crew are on their duties. Trying to get rid of the creep tumors. Third command center here for BYUN in the wall is looking for third base outside, of course. Not sure if I had to explain that one. Sometimes I just go into just like kind of observing casting mode. Oh, sorry. And then it's just like, you know, you're just gonna say what's happening. Action casting. It's like, alright, third base. That's gonna go to the third base location. It's like, yeah. Thank you, Kozan. What's my favorite player? Let me think about it, really. It's rough to say. I don't know. I don't know. It might be DRG. It might be, or Dark. It might be Dark. I think I'm a sucker for a good Korean Zerg. He says, while Ragnarok is playing here as his teammate, you know, at least it shows I'm not biased, you know, but at least not biased towards Ragnarok, right? That is somewhat good here, I suppose. Idra, yeah, Idra, man, best player. Overall, these mutalisks getting, oh my, that's a good way to set up a trap. Those little widow mines, I did not see them for a while either. Still, a lot of SCVs do go down, but I mean, those mutalisks won't be able to come in for a little bit now. That was a big, big strike there. Very well done. Still 8 workers. I mean, that trading overall, it's still alright for Ragnarok. Ragnarok is getting himself in a very similar position as he was in game number 2, it feels like. Just needs to ensure that he doesn't die to this because, well, BYUN does have 30 extra army supply over his opponents. So if Ragnarok lives here, right, if he lives here, it's going to be great for him. It's going to be absolutely just smooth sailing. Oh, Widowmine setting off on one of the Overlords. That's pretty good, actually, for Ragnarok. Ragnarok needs to watch out those Widowmines. Oh, that's splitting. Oh, are you kidding me? That was absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, you're just not going to win this. I'm sorry. All right, well, maybe he has enough now, but man. How did he... Okay, well, he did lose a lot more gas there overall, but the mineral value lost not too far apart. And Ragnarok lives. That's what I said, right? He just has to live. He didn't even lose a Baneling nest, right? Almost, but not entirely. And that is going to put him up in a pretty good spot here with 85 workers versus 65. His economy should start to spew out as many Lings, Banelings, Mutalisks, whatever the hell he wants in a moment. Maybe he wants to make like 7 more workers as well and then really have that economy just up there as much as possible. But then again, you're playing against BYUN. BYUN likes to push out on the map, so ensuring that you have enough to hold here. Let's see. Does Stats ever play in any Alpha X stuff? Yeah, he does sometimes. I've casted him before. It's not as much though, but anyway. Banelings. Oh, nice. You know what, there was a couple of really nice moves from both of those players there. Overall. Don't let the Banelings explode on the Widowmines. So, like a very tiny thing, right? It still feels significant in a way. A game of StarCraft 2, it so much comes down to, very often, whether or not you have that 1 or 2 extra Banelings that do manage to get on top of the Marine Ball. Letting some Banelings go down to Widowmines that have already gone off and there's no present threat trying to push into you. So you don't have to take them out right here, right now, right? Oh well. It's my little tiny thingamajig about the some of that Zerg control sometimes. I mean, I wouldn't do any better, to be fair. Don't get me wrong. Just dreams of one day having the perfect Zerg. Infestation pit coming up. Both these players kind of starting to set themselves up for the late game part, right? Stats has gone to the army though. Ah, yes, of course. So yeah, we used to have him sometimes. He's a nice guy. He's a nice guy. Fun. Good layer overall as well. Mutalisk coming in right now for the missile turrets on the third base. Was it the third? Was it the fourth? Who knows at this point? Doing a little splooching from the overseer onto that factory. What's it called again? Ooh, contaminate. Contaminate. Not a lot of creep here for Ragnarok. But there is a lot of Marine Marauder firepower. Zerglings trying to set off the Widow Mines right now. Those Banelings trying to avoid the Marauders. Oh, please also try to avoid those Thors. There we go. He once again does stand still after the engagement here. But BYUN, I mean, look at that production of his as well. 71 workers right now. It's not been crippled that much by the Mutalisk overall. Still keeping it close. Hive Tech, there it is. The next step of evolution amongst the Zerg branch. As BYUN, no Ghost, no Liberators, no real... well, I guess he did make a big adjustment to Marauder production here. So that's a big step. Oh my, Ragnarok suddenly coming in here. 200 supply strong of Zerg. Decides to make a move. And that move is going to be made rather quickly here. Right, does grab a couple of those Marines still before he runs out again. That's a lot of SCVs going down. 16 of them. Ragnarok does seem to really have a good handle on the Zergling Baneling Mutalisk composition here. It's really refreshing to see him play like this, and being able to pull it off so well against somebody like BYUN, that is incredibly impressive. Players like BYUN, right, those big, intensive micro monstrosities, usually are the tougher ones to make this type of Zerg style work against, but here we go again. I mean, this is looking to perhaps be alright for Ragnarok. No, never mind. Not enough Marines, or Banelings there to get rid of those Marines from the left side. Doesn't quite want to give up on the base though, just yet. Is gonna, nope, not gonna commit. Indecisiveness here could come to cost you. Has to be careful of those Widow Mines. Now get rid of pretty much all of the Banelings right now. More have been produced. As Ragnarok just kind of gets out of there. He's made another base, so it's not like the worst case, right? Not the end of the world scenario. He's 30 workers ahead as well, but I mean, BYUN 140 army supply strong here versus about 100. About 90. It's a stark difference. Make that 80. That now is almost 60 army supply apart for these two players. Almost 60 army supply apart. That is a lot of extra army supply going into BYUN's favor. Who cares if you have the worst economy if you can just ruffle stomp your opponent in such a clean fashion? Let's see if that is going to occur here. I mean, Ragnarok trying his best to avoid that outcome. Wants to just keep trading. Wants to just make sure that the economy here is going to be the deciding factor. But BYUN really forcing the hand of Ragnarok right now. An extremely well-trenched up position here for the Terran. That seems like just two bases of the Zerg that you're gonna have to give up onto. You taking a fight right here, right now. I mean, that is not gonna serve your best interest. Zerglings on the right. Mutalisk, ooh, could find a couple of medevacs here. I think we have plenty of those to go around. Actually, we have 14 of them. Never mind, that's a ton of medevacs. Still gotta be careful. +3/+3 for Ragnarok, about to finish up here. But decides to take the fight before that is actually completed. I'm not sure if that was because the ball was coming that close to the baneling nest and he couldn't afford to lose it. That's always the worst, right? When you pull off like an amazing micro maneuver in StarCraft 2 and you're like, alright, onto the worker line. Here we go, we've got it. Tons of that. Oh, there's no workers here. There's nothing here. Alright, well. Tough luck. Tough toes. Alright. Did we actually start with spawning pool first there as well? I'm not sure. Not sure if that was still the thing. Roachwarren and Lair at the same time kind of starting up here. Interesting. Suspicious, perhaps. One might say. BYUN just back at home doing his BYUN thing. Wants to get his massive economy going, of course, with the triple command center. And behind that, go for the regular bio-Terran play. We'll see if he goes for the siege tanks or Widow Mines. So far, it's looking like it's gonna opt more towards the Widow Mines. Which makes sense. I mean, so far, RAGNAROK only has been playing that Zergling Baneling kind of composition with the Mutalisk, so Widow Mines are the clear choice right there against that type of composition, right? Sploosh. Alright. Roach speed is being resurged, but we're mostly seeing drones still on that production tab. So maybe RAGNAROK here wants to play the defensive style of... Oh, he's going to block his own hatchery here. Yeah, that's blocking, right? That's interesting. Well, anyway, yeah, it looks like he's going to perhaps play the defensive style of Roach. But I'm not entirely convinced just yet. There's the +1/+1 also on the way. So maybe he's just waiting for that, right? To hit that timing as hard as he can. Viking here, going to be a bit of a nuisance. Needs to get himself a bit closer to the drones. There we go. Will immediately stop any form of mining here with a single Viking. That is always so frustrating. About that gold base, right? BYUN here seeing the mistake of RAGNAROK realizing, oh, no man, you want to have another base there, of course. You don't want to just go in with a roach attack all in. You want to have another base. Let me clean it up for you so you can actually put down another hatchery there. Actually, how would BYUN do right now versus a roach attack? I mean, it's not looking great. It's not looking great whatsoever. It's mostly Marines. Marines don't do great against roaches. Well, up until a certain number, right? If you have enough, they're gonna start turning it around. But not entirely. Oh, those screens just not enough to break this right now. He may need to reveal the roaches, and he does. Immediately starts to run across, of course. Still has some Zerglings in the main base trying to, well, stop any big drops from happening here. As he is marching across with this Roach Force. +1/+1, not just quite ready yet, though. Could be a big deal, especially about the Carapace. Although, to be fair, they're going to end up around the exact same time here. Let's see if the Biles manage to land on some workers. Not going to go for it just quite yet. He's going to try to get the Widow Mines instead. That's a smart choice. Gets both of them. 12 more roaches in the production at the same time. These drops looks like they have kind of been handled. Still being a nuisance overall, but BYUN is most likely not going to find too much there anymore. It's just a bigger deal, of course. These Marines and Marauders trying to force the Roaches and Ravagers to move backwards. But that just got them to have some Biles land on top of their heads. Still so many Roaches right here at the front door. The SCVs trying their best, their darn hardest to form some sort of protection here for those Marines. Trying to clean it up and claim his base, his own again, but it just won't happen. GG is called. RAGNAROK still making it work. Bottom right side, a blue Zerg player fighting for Alpha X. It's the one and only RAGNAROK. Reggie, new Rocky. And top left side, the red Terran. Rocking the red, rocking the rebellion. He's from Shopify's BYUN. And my, oh my, he does not know when to quit with those proxy Rexes, does he? But, to be fair, Ragnarok no longer going for the spawning pool first. It's like, you know what, this is a good macro map. He's not gonna 2-racks me here, is he? Remember, it's not a best of 7. Wait, alright, now people are getting confused by this. Let me do this. 7 matches, bam. Alright, actually, boom. Could have done this a while ago. Wait, does that... Oh dear. Hold up. I'm gonna fix this. I will fix this. Wait, actually, I've got a better fix. Oh boy. No. I'm doing it wrong. You know what? Let's do this. Bam. Alright, done. 7 matches. Alright, back to the game. Now you can see. 7 matches. It's not best of 7, it's 7 matches. Oh. I mean, he's scouted it, right? Does have his drones here. First cancellation is successful. First bunker does get pushed out. Drones trying their hardest to form a line here. Get on top of that bunker as quickly as possible. And down it goes. Those bunkers, they are the biggest threat here. Any one of them does get completed, that could mean the end of the base here. Right, no more real good spots for the bunkers to be produced. And you know what, Ragnarok's response to this, quite nice. Just consistently targeting down the bunker. And yeah, nothing else much to be said about that. He nice hold. And I mean, BYUN now just with a bunch of Marines here on the other side of the map. Scratching his head, wondering what the next step would be. Let's see. It will be a command center. Factory with a couple of most likely Hellions to be produced. Oh, don't want to lose the queens here. Still going to be a while before you have that Zergling speed in these types of situations also. If you had, right, man, would have been able to just capture these Marines, run across the map, stop this from happening, right? But yeah. No metabolic boost first this time around. Will get himself that 3rd base. Oh, another Roach Warren. Ragnarok maybe trying to just close this one off a little bit sooner rather than later. Let's see. No Evo Chambers this time around, so this time it might be defensive Roaches. I believe if you do want to hit with those Roaches, you normally would grab yourself that +1/+1. Unless if you're planning to push with more so Queens overall. Well, even then, it might be alright. You never really see the Queen push with the +1/+1, do you? As the Roaches, 6 of them so far. Are we going to see drones after this, or just more Roaches? Just more Roaches, alright. Keep your eyes peeled. We have a bit of a Zergling run by as well. They do manage to grab a good amount of Marines right there. Now on top of the SEVs, wanna get damage dealt there, but I mean, it's a good trade. It's a good trade for those Zerglings to have at this moment in time. Taking out Marines with just a couple of Zerglings and trading efficiently doesn't happen all too often, and right there. Oh, that is unfortunate. BYUN just barely not seeing those Roaches move on by. As Ragnarok finds himself a way into BYUN's base. How is he not seeing this? He still is unaware. He has no idea. He does have a siege tank up on the high ground. And he did get rid of all of these overlords close by. But here we go. This is the moment of truth. Suddenly, roaches, ravages, all available inside of BYUN's natural base. Another siege tank on that high ground. It's nice to kind of protect the entryway against the Zerglings and such. Okay, RAGNAROK decides to go for it right here. Might need a couple of biles. There we go. The first siege tank does get targeted. But man, that second siege tank right there dealing a lot of damage. 7 SCVs go down. Might not be enough here for RAGNAROK, who is going to continue onwards with producing drones right now. To be fair, BYUN didn't go for a third base this time around either, so he was playing it a little bit safer than he was that previous game, right? Previous game with the quick third command center, that roach attack hit a lot harder. This time around, we didn't just have the one siege tank, we had two. We didn't just have Widow Mines and no siege tanks, we had 2 siege tanks in fact, and no upgrades either for either of these players, to be fair, but things working out a lot better for BYUN. Always starting to put some pressure here onto the main base. Little Viking scout. Still lurking around, trying to find overlords. It's a good way to kind of clear up those paths, right? Open them up later on for dropships to come in. Make it a lot more difficult for RAGNAROK to respawn in time and have his units at the right place at the right time as well. Looks like he is starting to send some overlords. Oh no, actually he stopped moving. Lurking on the edges, BYUN here with a couple of medevacs. Trying to find entryway into this main base, but the amount of Zerglings make it rather difficult to get a clean landing zone. It's both these players, yeah. Looks like we are just gonna have them kind of start bulking up right now. Upgrades coming in, just grabbing more bases, both of them. Kind of realizing it's going to be difficult to finish off my opponent right here, right now. Let's just try to unlock the next tier of units, and then we can go at it again. That being said, though, RAGNAROK, building a baneling nest. We're not seeing a Hydra den or anything of the sorts. No infestation pit, nothing like that. I was starting to think, you know, he could try to at least start maneuvering himself into that position where the transition into lurkers kind of becomes a little bit easier, right? If that is where he wants to go, it seems like the logical place to take this, right? It's what we've learned watching some other real good Korean Zerg players with these roaches. That's the infestation pit. Alright, nice. Good stuff. Just for fungals, man. Fungal with Ravager Biles, if you're good at that, oh, it's so strong. Against these Marine Marauder balls, that is ridiculously powerful. We've seen Dark used it to very, very high effects, but it's a lot of micro, and it's it's very impressive. Not everybody can just, you know, alright, let me just get perfect fungals, get the biles half a millisecond on top of those fungals afterwards, and blammo, there we go. Now all your Marines and Marauders are dead. Difficult to make work. There's a lot of siege tanks there being made by BYUN. Looks like he's just going to continue onwards on the siege tank path. RAGNAROK is starting up the Hive Tech. No Hydra Den. No Lurker Den. Might be something else entirely coming up as he is starting the melee upgrades here. Maybe Ultralisk are going to be the choice after all. Once again, just switch it back up into the Ling Bane Mutalisk style. Who knows? He never made a Spire though, so We're a bit removed from that possibility. There's a lot of medevacs. There's a lot of stuff does get thwarted once again, though. Ragnarok there with enough to deter the medevacs of BYUN. Fourth base for BYUN finally starting to move out. That's Ragnarok already taking his fifth base, almost completed actually as well. Oh. Some skirmishing here, scouting units I suppose of BYUN. It's a bit more than a scouting force, but maybe just a safeguarding kind of coalition of units. Who knows? It's the neighborhood watch, basically. If they ever run into any real trouble, I mean, they're not going to do much, but at least they're going to let everybody know what's going on. Oh, this is a really good fight here for Ragnarok, actually. All those siege tanks unsieged. BYUN had to scurry them up into those medevacs and run them away as quickly as he could. I don't like this fight, Ragnarok. Oh, his banelings are so far away still. Yeah, I don't think he had a clear understanding of how far away those banelings still were. Perhaps overestimating his possibility there. So we have Vipers and Chitinous plating. There's a big scan for BYUN. Does see absolutely everything. 4 Vipers, the Ultra Den and the spawning pool going at it again. Doing more upgrading, I see. Ragnarok comes forwards. A couple of roaches just to clear up some supply. Wants to start producing those Ultralisks, most likely. Wants to get more drones. Okay, that's fair too. That is fair play. The game that he did win with the big macro game, right? It was him just having so much more economy. And just on that 90 worker count, just kept on producing units. Kept on pushing. Made it work very, very well. There we go. Really getting all the ins and outs of the Zerg tech tree, the burrow, the spire. BYUN on the other side, he did complete his Ghost Academy. We'll see those snipes of the man himself. The Ghost Emperor. Well, I guess we got to see that also. A couple of medevacs no longer wanted around by BYUN. Besides, they're not worthy of the... Or the Terran colors. Needed that food supply in order to establish some more ghost presence on the field. So far, he only has 2. Would like to go up to 5 here. You know what? You may even want to go for more, but you don't want to just start shooting your own boys here too much, right? That would be a bit how would you call this? Not that very efficient. Inefficient. It's not inefficient. I was trying to come up with the word inefficient, and I was like, no, that doesn't sound quite right. Inefficient. It would be rather inefficient. Alright, yeah. There's a good point made by the Marauder King in the chat. BYUN did have a lot of time setting up a very powerful defensive position here, as we can see. Siege tanks absolutely everywhere. He's got command centers at the forefront now as well. You might think, well, they're no planetaries, right? That's not gonna matter. Oh, it's gonna matter. Just having the stuff here. One of them is gonna turn into a planetary, in fact, even. But yeah, this is just a lot of unnatural choke points being made here by BYUN, making it very difficult for the army of Ragnarok to really do anything here. Those Ultralisks in particular, right, are gonna struggle. I love this. Just another planetary here as well. This man going full force. A couple of yoinks on the siege tanks. But the Ghost here, well spread out, sniping away at the banelings trickling in, are preventing most of the damage so far. Zerglings, though, a little bit more troublesome for those Ghosts. That's a lot of spine crawlers here. Man, I'm absolutely loving what I'm seeing from both these players so far. In this DVZ, this is quite a wild one overall. With a lot of back and forth, and still every single game took a while before we really saw any clear dominance being established by either one of these players. I think RAGNAROK, right? I want to give him the advantage here because he's been trading rather well. The map control he has is absolutely immaculate. The one thing is, of course, as mentioned before, the established defenses of BYUN here. It seems... okay, he does save those ghosts. But yeah, it seems rather terrifying having to go up against that. BYUN in a position to slowly leapfrog himself into these sort of bases and re-establish these mining operations and stay on an equal footing. Just on the overall number of bases that are going to be available to both these players, right? And that's the way to win for BYUN. Needs to keep these bases alive, though, of course. Can't afford to just lose them like that. Oh my. RAGNAROK not going to go after those SCVs? Alright, come on, RAGNAROK. You can do it. There we are. That is so many SCVs going down. The Ghost will retaliate, of course. Will get themselves quite a bit of damage done. All of the medevac's now fungled right here. Couple of biles fall down. Nice splits from BYUN, minimizing the damage overall. But those medevac's now are rather low HP. If we get a couple of... oh, he's making Corruptors. Is he making Corruptors specifically for killing off those medevac's right now? I don't think so. I think he wants to try and get himself into a position where he will be able to bombard the front line of BYUN with Broodlords as well. The Broodlords, of course, great against those siege tanks. But the number of ghosts overall, they are rather terrifying. 18 of them in total. Those snipes, they make short work of Ultralisk Broodlords. The EMPs, they manage to deal with the Infestors and the Vipers. It can be a rather difficult situation here for RAGNAROK, but he just needs to find ways to surprise his opponents and shut down the micro capabilities of these ghosts, right? Whether that is just running banelings towards them, that could be enough. If the skies are open and not too many siege tanks are protecting them, you will just be able to send in a ton of banelings after them, but that can be difficult with this defensive setup, of course, as mentioned before. Alright. Yeah, it's very interesting, right? RAGNAROK not going for any lurker type of strategy here, and maybe it's because BYUN just so well practiced against the lurker style. Maybe that's why he just doesn't want to give the opportunity for BYUN to play a style which he's practiced quite a bit. Is that okay? I thought he was sniping actually Zerglings there. I was starting to get a little bit worried. BYUN, are you this good now that you can afford to just snipe Zerglings? A big wall of RAGNAROK being set up here in the middle. Romanticide split up in two. Two faction forces counteracting one another. The Broodlords will start the bombardments onto the planetary fortress in the makeshift wall. Infestors need to be careful of the EMPs, and you know what, RAGNAROK microing really well overall, controlling this late game army in a very strong fashion, trying to be careful. One Overlord's kind of overstepping his boundaries there, but other than that, RAGNAROK being careful with not sending out too many of those Infestors at once, doesn't want just one EMP getting all of them. Is steering clear of the sniper range with those Broodlords as well. And if he gets enough Broodlords, he might just be able to set up enough Broodlings to force those ghosts far away back, right? Not allowing them to actually push into the real Broodlords. Maybe that way you could get some work done here as well. Alright, let's see. Attempt number 2, more Broodlords. Attempt number 2, Broodlord Electric Boogaloo. Planetary Fortress will go down quite clearly here, and those ghosts, they are being pressured backwards. couple of good fungals do manage to land as well and make it more difficult for the Terran to sustain this position. Gotta be wary of BYUN, of course, still taking more bases. RAGNAROK, I mean, these bases like this, right, they are quite open. Just sending a couple of units there could well be worth denying this from becoming a planetary fortress. Did catch wind of it right now. And it's starting to move across. I'm not sure if you want to use banelings for this, but oh well. I mean, if it was an actual planetary fortress, you may want to consider it, but I guess he just doesn't have anything else left. 13 Lings, 13 Broodlords, 13 Banelings, 11 Infestus right here. A couple of Ravagers as well as the 2 Corruptors. Versus 21 Ghost and 11 Siege Tanks. It's a funky composition. But yeah, I feel like this is going to be an interesting battle as well. Hopefully one of these players will find a way to properly engage here without giving up too much of the defender's advantage. Oh, massive fungus on all of the Ghosts. The Brewlings are absolutely everywhere. The Banelings are marching forwards as well. Most of the Ghosts are eliminated. Planetary Fortress goes down. Those Thors on the backside trying to catch up. Still more Ghosts actually in this army composition of BYUN, as he does manage to strike backwards and take out a ton of those Broodlords as well. 6 of them fall in total. Well, a lot of Ghosts went down. Those Thors, they are nothing to be trifled with either. RAGNAROK reimagining his composition now again in the shape of Ultralisk. Zerglings wouldn't be too bad of a choice here, in my opinion. The Siege Tanks are gone. There's no Widow Mines. Zerglings, they do well against Thors, and they do well against Marauders, and they do well against the Ghosts. So let's see if we will have my wishes come true at some point in time here. Again, massive overall snipage as those Broodlords struggle. Planetary Fortress was constructed fully now. Does get cleaned up by the Banelings. But the main front door of RAGNAROK is now exposed, and those Broodlords under a lot of pressure. The Infestor's doing an amazing job though so far, keeping the Ghost at a reasonable distance. And those Banelings, look at just how inefficient they are being with trying to deal with Thors overall. Great Neural Parasite though, and RAGNAROK starting to gain the supply lead overall. Let's take another glimpse at the units lost tab. It is in favor for Mr. BYUN, but the income advantage, that is clearly quite highly in favor for RAGNAROK here, who is coming in with a lethal dose of Zergs. Those Broodlords on the backside, they may have had their fill of this battle, but actually 4 of them still managing to put up quite a badass fight over here. Zerglings and Ultralisk now starting to head towards the production facilities here. It's not that much Zerg left, but maybe perhaps with those Broodlords and the Infestors and more Zerglings just spilling across the map, this could be the final moments of BYUN. Trying to hang on here, doesn't want to go down to a place where he's just never going to get the upper hand anymore. It will be RAGNAROK 4-2 versus BYUN. And then, I mean, BYUN's going to have an opportunity to try and make it a 4-3. Hellions will be coming out. That Reaper marching across the map. No fear of the Zerglings running across either, it seems. It's the right call to make. RAGNAROK mostly went for those drones afterwards. Only 4 links been made. Which to me, you know, it shows nice variation that RAGNAROK can bring into the game like this. Right? He doesn't go for the spawning pool every single time. He goes for 4 links sometimes. Sometimes he goes for more links, so that is something you have to take into consideration as BYUN. You're not quite certain how many Zerglings are going to be coming at you as you see the first couple of Zerglings, right? you're not quite sure if he's gonna go spawning pool first at all. So yeah, Ragnarok here just kind of making him more difficult to be read by BYUN. In particular because he's also mixing in these roach attacks, right? So BYUN just really has to be vigilant every single step along the way, because Ragnarok is playing this type of style. And it's a type of style that I feel like really shows its best in these types of longer series. Just continuously make your opponent guess at what is going on, depending on the previous game, and then just mix it up slightly, just a slight change here or there. And then rotate back and forth between those different choices. He did go for the Overlord speed here. Oh, I don't know why that is tripping it out. Alright, there we go. We have a new queen. It's coming back in. He's like, alright, are you really going for the Banshees? No? Alright, that's good. That's a good rescout right there. Figures it out. BYUN not gonna double down again and go for them anyway after killing the Overlord. That would have been a mind game and a half, wouldn't it? I mean, there's no spore crawlers now being made by Ragnarok because of this. At least yet. I imagine he's going to get them eventually. Eventually. Third base, BYUN's will be flying across. The fourth base for Ragnarok in production here. Getting some creep spread further out. I guess that's the one thing for Ragnarok. If you do go for that quick spawning pool, it feels like you should be able to get your creep out a little bit further, right? A little bit further than where we are at right now. But then again, to be fair, if you have to make a choice between either having the perfect macro and overall awareness of what your opponent is doing, or just having more creep spread, right? I'm fairly certain I would have let my creep spread, you know, fall a little bit as well. Oh, that's interesting. These ones. We want to follow these ones. These couple of medevacs. The meta boys. Oh. That's a good volley there from those Hellions. They are looking for a nice connection here. No banelings just quite yet. The scan doesn't quite reveal that the banelings are still being produced, but the lack of banelings here does kind of make that indication already. Moving back right now at the right time. That was a massive cleanup on the creep. Massive cleanup on Isle. Creep now comes back around for round number 2. And does manage to get a couple of the queens. The creep tumors will stay afloat though. Nicely done against that Widowmine. Good counterplay. Hellions find themselves in another area where they can abuse this mobility of theirs. Oh, that's going to be... Ooh, okay. Ragnarok realizing what was going on there. Sacrificing some banelings in order to save the rest. Luckily, the Overseer was with those banelings, otherwise that would have packed out entirely differently. We do have the armory already available, so yeah, it wouldn't have revealed the Widowmine either. Feels like BYUN trying to be a bit more aggressive this game, right? Just trying to force out these traits a bit more proactively. Alright. Small engagement right there, setting off the, well, killing the first Widowmine, I should say. But once again, this lane on the 6 o'clock has gotten all its creep tumors removed. 4 more Widowmines get ferried across as they are the main tool here against the Ling Bane. And Hydralisk. We are just going to get straight up Ling Bane Hydra right now out of Ragnarok. Interesting choice. He will be still committed here with the defense. Nice catch on that Widowmine before it sets off. Has a reasonable amount of units here for a counterattack, but the defensive setup for BYUN looks more than enough to handle this. Unless if it just moves out right now. It's gonna see this, right? It's gonna see the oh, how the... Okay. It saw. It's... You, BYUN, may have not seen. You may not have seen. Alright. Perfect opportunity here for Ragnarok, perhaps. Still a little bit of a wall. Oh, the Widowmine moving itself out of there. Circlings. Both Widowmines are set off, but the Banelings decide to go for the SCVs instead. Economic damage continuously being prioritized here by Ragnarok. It does seem like a very good way to deal with BYUN, a player that, as we've said in the first part of this series, is a guy that doesn't feel too bad on a lower economy, but, I mean, if he's already on a lower economy, and then he just keeps losing SCVs, that could be very rough, right? He could just not have enough to keep reinforcing his own units here. Ooh. A couple of Banelings there getting shot by the Widowmine. Still not a single creep tumor here on that 6 base, kind of moving out further forwards. When you're playing Lingbane Hydralisk, I mean, that creep spread, extremely important. Something you cannot afford to oversee, or kind of not care about that much. But this is a lot of economic damage once again being sustained here. Ragnarok finding a good amount of Marines as well as he's pushing on in. GG is called. Just like that, Ragnarok just more than enough to simply move on in. Good Baneling connections onto the Marines. The Widowmines falling short a little bit. Great micro there from Ragnarok. Finds himself the final victory here and sets himself up with a 5-2 versus BYUN.